Hello and welcome to the Bankers Masterclass series on digitisation in association with Citi. I'm Joy Macknight, Managing Editor at The Banker, and I'm joined by Ebru Pakcan, Global Head of Trade, Treasury and Trade Solutions at Citi. In the third chapter of this four-part series, we're going to be discussing the innovation in the trade space. Ebru, thanks for joining me.
Good to be here.
So obviously digitisation has been a big topic across the banking industry and the corporates. Where are we really on this journey?
Yeah, digitization has been on the agenda for financial services industry in trade space for a very long time now. And you know, over the last few years, we've made some progress, but quite honestly, it's been really patchy.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of different consortiums out there who's been trying to leverage new technologies. You know, electronic banking platforms in trade space has never been really as vastly used as equivalents in the cash management or in the payment space. The diversity of documentation and actual paperwork, including wet signatures, stamps, you name it, by various different authorities, which are part of the underlying documentation that goes with trade, are a huge challenge in terms of actually putting all of that into digital environment and being able to create streamlined processes. Now, it would be unfair to say that things haven't progressed. Things have certainly progressed over the last few years. There's a lot more tools out there. Some of the fintechs coming into this space has also been really helping accelerate the type of capabilities. But quite honestly, adoption by corporates has been slow. I would say probably there are more tools and capabilities out there than what corporates are even aware of, are leveraging today. And that's one of the things that we've been trying to change and actually work closely with corporates to understand how we can get more integrated into their day-to-day workflows to be able to increase that adoption, at least for what we already have, while we're continuing to think about what to build into the future.
But has the COVID-19 pandemic really accelerated this journey? You know, how has it impacted?
For all the damage and for all the challenges that it has created in the industry, if there's one good that's coming out of it, it's definitely helping the acceleration of that adoption. Last week I was part of a conversation where, broadly speaking, Swift was talking about the numbers and volumes that they've been seeing in the trade space, and there has been a very, very stark decline, as many are aware. Close to 15-18% drop on trade flows going through Swift. But actually, when they look at the corporate access and the corporate related flows, that has increased almost by 30%, which is very interesting. And that's a great example of existing tools which are available in trade space have really, really become very, very handy for corporates. And they really try to revert to these tools. Obviously, as banks and service providers, we've been really supporting them in that journey. As always, there are some who are further along in the journey and looking at the next stage of things. We have some corporates who are actually now leveraging APIs in trade space, which is still a very, very new phenomenon. Of course, APIs has been there in payment space for a long time, but there are now clients who are actually initiating, guarantees and pretty basic traditional trade instruments through APIs. That is a really interesting evolution for us. And of course, the consortium, some of those consortiums which are blockchain based or otherwise, they've been really trying to leverage the current environment as well to try to innovate more and to bring the industry together to think about how we can actually really weather the challenges of the crisis.
But in general, the journey to digitization is really accelerating. Do you see sort of any signs that this acceleration, that this pace is going to slow down at all?
If anything, it's going to continue to accelerate. And one of the exciting things to see this year in the industry is also around engagement actually from some of those who can actually help with guidelines or the standard setting. International Chamber of Commerce, ICC, World Trade Organization has been really, really very active, especially over the last 6 months or so, in terms of working with industry participants to actually start creating some of those standards. Very, very helpful guidelines, especially at the height of the pandemic, in terms of how certain digital tools or instruments could be actually leveraged, given that the actual physical shipment of goods and logistics has become very, very challenging. And those are really, really good signs. The other thing that I'm seeing is I think now there is, have to put it, maybe a critical mass of tools and capabilities out there, and now there is more people who are talking about interoperability even among some of the consortiums. And that is also exciting because, as I mentioned before, the conversion of the masses is going to be really, really important for us to really get to that tipping point. And by creating that interoperability between different digital platforms, it's really going to help us actually leverage what everybody has been doing in their own piece and really help bring that together.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for your insights, Ebru.
Thank you.